Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Please be seated. Our gospel today is a story of deep friendship and imminent loss. I love the Mary, Martha, and Lazarus stories. It is clear from these passages that Jesus shared an intimate bond with his little family. And in this story, Mary, the one with her head in the clouds, offers Jesus a physical sign of her affection and a warning of things to come. Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem for what will be his final days. He makes a stop in Bethany, sort of a suburb of Jerusalem, to visit these dear friends. Jesus joins Lazarus and his two sisters in a meal. Lazarus has been recently raised from the dead. I'm not sure what kind of state he is in here at this dinner, but I would suggest that he might have been a little shaky, a little uncertain. And as we know is her way, Martha is in charge, cooking and fretting. Mary is silent, staring adoringly at their guest. Since in none of the passages about this family are spouses or children mentioned, it is likely that all three siblings are single and live together. This would not have been an uncommon arrangement in the first century. As unmarried women, Mary and Martha would have been entirely financially dependent upon their brother. And of course, they were grateful to Jesus for bringing back their brother, who they loved. But on Lazarus' death, they would have had no means of supporting themselves. Their lives would have been upended. But this is surely, on this day, a fellowship table. The friends share a meal, eating and talking, recalling fond memories as friends do. This must have been a home where Jesus felt truly comfortable. His sandals are off, his arm draped over his chair. He is at ease. He does not have to be or do anything. Here, he is a human friend, and he relishes this peace, as we know before the storm which is to come. And as we have seen before, Mary is marching to a different drummer. She leaves the table and procures a bottle of fine perfume from the spikenard plant called nard. Commentators have described it as having an earthy, musky, and powerful scent. And then Mary does several really odd things. She pours the nard, the entire bottle, over Jesus' bare feet. And then she takes down her hair. And she uses her long hair to distribute the perfume across Jesus' feet. The strands of hair caressing the cracks and crevices and toes of Jesus' feet. And she does not speak. We can imagine the scene at that dinner table. Her brother Lazarus, still getting used to living and breathing again, doesn't say anything. And Martha, well, we all know someone like Martha. Martha was quietly appalled, and she smiles thinly. That Mary would take down her hair would have been improper for a Jewish woman. And a single woman using her hair to paint expensive perfume on the feet of a single man, well, that would have been unheard of. But Mary is unusual. Mary leads with her heart. The first to speak is Judas. Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and money given to the poor? And the question breaks the silence, and what Judas says is sensible. It makes sense. The denarii is the sum that a laborer would have earned in a single day. And 300 denarii would represent what such a worker would earn in nearly a year. In today's dollars, if a laborer earned our Missouri minimum wage of $11.15 an hour, that worker would earn roughly $89 a day, or $26,760 in 300 days. So when we look at that in today's method of compensation, that perfume that Mary poured over Jesus' feet was really expensive. The gospel writer tips us off, though, about Judas. He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used to steal what was put in it. And so we know by this text and by our own reading of the Gospels that Judas was to betray Jesus. And this is more information about Judas' unsavory, treacherous character. But Jesus sets Judas straight. He says, leave her alone. She brought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. So in these words, we realize that Mary understood Jesus' impending death. And Mary is the only one we know of Jesus' followers who appear to comprehend that the Pharisees and the others will get their way, that Jesus' end is imminent. And we can guess that Mary likely spent every penny she had to prepare this ointment for Jesus' body in his burial. And this is the last time she will see her friend. His execution, we know, is only days away. And so she pours not some, but the entire bottle of expensive perfume on his feet. And as our gospel writer tells us, the house is filled with the fragrance of this lovely perfume. And once again, Jesus prophesies his own end. You always will have the poor with you, but you do not always have me. This meal with his friends in Bethany is a nod to Jesus' final meal with his disciples. And there he will do another odd thing. He will act as servant and wash the feet of his friends. Mary's act today is excessive, unreasonable. The poem Alabaster Jar by Myra Nagel captures this. Priceless jar, broken, poured out for him, no thought of cost. How extravagant, how extravagant. Priceless life, broken, poured out for us, no thought of cost. How extravagant, how extravagant. Perhaps Mary is a prophet, heeding the signs, and we know she's a little off by the standards of the day. But Mary knows that Jesus is indeed the Messiah, the anointed one. And her act is one of worship and friendship. She anoints her friend as if in death. This warm but bizarre action is also an omen for Christ's crucifixion, where his feet will be nailed to a cross. But for this day, Jesus is safe. enjoying what will be the last hours of his humanity, enjoying Mary's extraordinary gift. And in these hours, such beauty, such rare beauty is enough.